You are able to go onto our website to check out all past interviews, which I encourage you guys to do. You can also obviously check out the past interviews right here on Instagram on our IGTV. But you're able to see all of those past interviews. We've had a great lineup so far. Michael Wintermantle, Benji Alexander-Paulus, Karen Blackwood, Dina Ball, and last week we spoke with Bill Farnsworth. So we are excited for today's conversation with Lucy Dickens and sent you a request. You'll just need to... Hello. Happy Thursday. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I love your setup. Beautiful.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. This is in my home gallery and studio, and this is Rise Up, the painting and the Great American Painting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us virtually. I'm excited to talk to you about your piece. I remember the first time I saw it, I just loved it. And then I read the story behind it. And I love that song as well that you included. So I'm really
Oh, do you know it? Good.
about it. Yeah, I just imagine you in your studio listening, painting. So I love it. Where are you located?
I'm in Carefree, Arizona. It's just north of Scottsdale, and it's very beautiful, very scenic. High desert, large boulders, huge Palo Verde and mesquite trees, bushes, lots of cactus.
Wow, lots to be inspired by.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely. Especially my favorite time here is in the spring, because a lot of people that haven't been here before think of the desert as very dry and drab and colorless. But in the springtime, especially after good rains, all of those cactus bloom, all of them, and they bloom so vibrantly. And then the desert floor transforms into really like a kaleidoscope of color, not just with the cactus blooming, but all the desert wildflowers and such. So it's one of my favorite things to paint in this area, to capture that.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine that is a beautiful thing to see. And I'm excited to talk with you more about this piece. But before we hop into that, I would love to just kind of start from the beginning. I really enjoyed reading about your experience with both of your parents being creatives. Um, and I'm sure that inspired you to kind of start, pick up the paintbrush. But what was that like growing up with parents that were a photographer and a painter, and how did you find art for yourself?
Sure. So, first of all, both my parents are absolute creatives, extremely talented, and have just such a eye and a vision for the natural beauty outdoors. And that probably started from them having a love of the outdoors. And so all of our vacations when we were kids were more like camping, hiking, backpacking, that kind of thing. And so I also grew up with such a love and a passion and an appreciation for the outdoors, for the landscape, for exploring every nook and cranny, everywhere we went, and of course staring at the sky all the time and watching all the clouds change. And often I've been accused of having my head in the clouds, which is pretty true. But anyway, so it was never and was just purely a passion, creating for me and creating gifts. And then probably in around, I'm losing track now, I think around 2000, somewhere around there, we moved into a new house and I decided I wanted to paint a wall mural, having never really even painted before. And kind of crazy ambitious. So my husband brought me a scrap piece of drywall, and I got the little craft bottles of paint and to practice on it, and really saw that I had some talent for it. Obviously nothing compared to what I'm doing now, but just this passion was welling up inside of me. And then I quickly moved to professional acrylics, acrylic painting and all the materials and so on, and taking workshops and classes and that. And then after about 4 years, I moved into oil and absolutely love it. But I'll rewind and say the first time I put brush to canvas, I just knew that this is what I was supposed to be doing. This is um, just such a deep passion in my heart. And I'll say my faith is very strong to me, and it's so in my faith journey and my painting journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt such a strong sense that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I want to bring hope and light and beauty and encouragement through my paintings and my stories, my words, and hope to help make a difference in the lives of others and the world around me. So.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful. And I think you're definitely accomplishing that from the work that I've seen. And just behind you, your pieces are quite different, but what inspires you to create, especially in a time like this?
Well, I think it goes back into what I was just saying, that deep indwelling um, passion to capture and create beauty. And okay, so this kind of sums it up a bit. So I felt that calling for a long time, but I remember one day I was on a missions trip in Rocky Point, Mexico, doing house builds down there. And I was digging through a trash heap, trying to find any kind of trash to treasure, right? That I could find to beautify the outdoors while the team was working on the stucco and stuff like that. And I was finding like pottery shards and little pieces of block and just all kinds of things. What can I find to like maybe make a beautiful pathway up to the stoop, and maybe even press in the broken pottery into like a little concrete stoop and bring beauty and make it home, right? And I heard very strongly, you're to be a bringer of beauty and light, right? And so that has really guided me, not only through my whole artistic journey, but especially during this pandemic time. Mm-hmm. And I'll admit it was difficult for me. The first 3 weeks of quarantine, I couldn't even bring myself to go in my studio. And that is so out of character for me. Usually, painting is very therapeutic for me. I can come in here and paint through tears, through crisis, through emotional things going on, whether with my family, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's very healing and therapeutic for me. But for whatever reason, I had about 3 weeks where I couldn't do it. But I also felt the need to nest and protect and stock up and grocery shop and clean and,
of course,
my family, all that. But then finally I did get back in my studio and break out my brushes. And this is the first painting, Rise Up, here. And one thing I love about painting the desert blooms is not just the desert blooms, it goes so much deeper than that. But it's like capturing and seeing God's beauty and promise out there, beauty coming out of the harshness, the delicacy, the vibrancy coming out of the thorns and the darkness, and just the promise that beauty will always come out, always prevail, spring always comes. The dawn always comes after the dark night. And so that's why I was drawn to really seek to paint that now, fresh from that lock-in emotion.
Yeah.
So.
It is such a strong piece on its own, but especially thinking about that of, the desert is such a harsh place, but something so beautiful comes from it. So I do love that. And something that you say, that storytelling is really important to you. And I think you just mentioned quite a few of the things that you're hoping people get from looking at this piece, the feeling of hope, the feeling of something good will blossom soon.
Right. Yes.
I love that. I love that about this piece.
Thank you.
Of course,
And
yeah. Go ahead.
well, to dig into that thought just a little bit further, and I might be jumping ahead on one of your questions, but it ties
Go
in.
ahead.
In there, I commented about, so every one of my paintings has a story. All of my paintings have a story. Some of them are simple, some more profound. A lot of it comes from my journaling, whether I'm out on location or my morning journal time, where these little stories come from. And in this particular painting, I spoke that song "Rise Up" came on the radio by Andra Day, and
Yeah.
it just screamed for this to be the title and the story of the painting. And I commented about stepping into the beauty, and you asked about that and what that means for me. So there's a little something I'd love to share, if that's all right.
Of course, yeah.
So thanks. So this past year, I wanted to paint a really large aspen tree painting. First of all, I just love aspens, my favorite tree. And also, well, this painting is at a northern Xanadu Gallery in Pine Top, Arizona, and I really wanted to create this special piece. So it was going to be a studio painting, and I was looking through my photographs from being out on scene, early morning dawn in this aspen grove. And I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I was just, I guess, wallowing in frustration because the vision wasn't coming. I just couldn't see it. And I was so frustrated that I put my brushes down and I left for my studio for that day, which occasionally happens. And so the next morning I was having my quiet time, my prayer time, and was journaling. And I hadn't been journaling in a bit. And I remember reflecting on, gosh, how powerfully things come to me when I get my pen moving. And that's where these stories come from. So I'd love to share a little piece of the story from The Invitation. That painting is called The Invitation. It's a 32 by 48 aspen tree painting,
Wow.
which speaks exactly into this and what stepping into the beauty means to me. So, all right. Feeling frustrated and creatively stifled, I got into prayer, reading, and started journaling once again over a period of days. Why do I stop writing when I'm so spoken to when my pen moves? Through this process, the invitation came clearly into view, and then these words came to me. Seeing the pure beauty before us, aren't we invited in? Does our heart not long even ache to step within, to be enveloped, to experience, to become one with the beauty? Is it not a picture of a greater call placed deep within our hearts, a longing for the beauty of creation, the Creator Himself? And then after those words came to me, then I was able to step in front of my canvas and I could see the vision, and I could hear the story. And then it's rare that I have the title before the painting, but in this case I did. It was called The Invitation. So that's what I mean by stepping into the beauty. I just feel that we all have this, we're all born with this yearning to step back into the beauty. How much are we moved when we stand in front of a magnificent sunrise or a sunset? Or so that's what that means to me. So
That's incredible. I loved hearing your inspiration, what kind of helped you pick the name and start painting for that piece. And it is so much more than kind of what you see on the canvas for paintings. And I think you are great at word as well with writing. It just tells a whole nother level to a painting, and something that I think people are really, yearning for and searching for it during a time like this. So thank you for your word, for your artwork during times like this. I think it's super inspiring. And I like that you mentioned, you had different feelings throughout this entire process. You couldn't even find yourself to paint, and then somehow this incredible piece came out of it. how else are you staying inspired during a time like this? Are you looking to what other artists are doing, or like what has helped you kind of keep staying positive and seeing the light at the end of all of this?
Sure. I do think it's important to have to be in community with other people, even though we're inside and distant, whether it's phone calls or these, Zoom-like meetings, virtual meetings. This is my first time doing Instagram Live, though. I was nervous to get it right, but so I have a wonderful community of artist friends. I live in a huge artist community, and then also just close friends and family. I think it's important to. I mean, we're not meant to do life alone. We're meant to do life in community, and even though we have to be socially distant or quarantine, I think that's still so important to be connected in that. And then also, honestly, my quiet time, prayerful time in the morning, faith music is really inspiring and uplifting to me and helps to keep me positive and reverse that rabbit hole you can easily spiral into. I mean, me, like probably a lot of other people, I can tend to get anxious or overthink things, nerves, that kind of thing. But those are the tools in my toolbox I know to help keep me positive and keep me focused and going in the right direction. Not only with my life, with my mindset, emotional state, but with my creative pursuits too. And I think keeping a schedule, especially in these times, I still have in my schedule carved out, these are my painting times. This is when I do this. This is when I do that. And I think it really helps me, especially right now, to keep moving forward in that.
Totally. Yeah, it's easy to, when you're stuck at home all day, it's easy to fall into getting out of that habit. And
Super easy.
sorry, I think I connected for a second. But sticking to a certain type of schedule helps you, stay inspired, helps you stay on track. So I think that's great. So it seems like you've had quite a lot of different feelings during this time, as most people have. But any other positives that have come out from you? More alone time, more opportunities to connect with people you maybe wouldn't have in the normal time. I know that you were nominated as Best of the Valley this year. So what are some of the positives that have come out of this?
Well, that's a very good question. On a personal note, probably the biggest challenge my husband and I still have today, pre-COVID, is being so overbooked and committed and scheduled. It's ridiculous. Like, no, not anywhere near enough margin. And so that is something good that's come out of this period that I do want to hold on to. Is not being so overcommitted, overscheduled that I can't really have freedom and flexibility in the day for not only for reflective time, but also important things that come up in the day that you might otherwise not have time to get involved in, or have that phone call, or things like that. So that's from a personal standpoint. Yeah, that was super exciting to get nominated for the Phoenix Magazine's Best Artist of 2020. My screen keeps going dark. That was quite a surprise and just such a huge honor, and especially during this dark time. So that's one thing that has been really exciting. Also, I've been submitting to a number of large shows. Like, I've had a couple paintings juried into the National Oil Painters of America exhibition, and then also their salon show. So shows like these, a lot of them have gone virtual, but it's still exciting to participate, for them to find a way for it to work, and also being selected for this. I'm just really excited about this project and what you're capturing of this time in history and artists. But one of the things that probably means the most to me right now is I've still been uh, selling original paintings and my Giclée clay prints during this time, and having uh, private appointments, studio appointments, people to come to my gallery and studio. People saying, I just really need to surround myself with beauty right now. And to hear
Oh,
that and to be able to, gosh, participate in that, it's gigantic. It's probably the most exciting part to me. So.
completely. Yeah, that's definitely has to make you feel good. And it although, you know, this is obviously a negative situation, it does remind us, okay, we all need to take a break. We need to be together with our family. We need to find support from our community, and we need to stay inspired however we can. And I think you've done that very beautifully. So thank you. And I'm excited to see what kind of comes for you throughout this rest of the period. And appreciate you being in the project, of course. We've loved your piece, and it's just such an inspiring story. So I really appreciate it. I would love to end with any other artists that you maybe have been inspired by, whether you knew them or you haven't, and that's within the Great American Paint-In collection.
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, I have to give a huge shout out to four other of my fellow Arizona artists that I'm in community with that are in the project. And
Amazing.
that's exciting. So that's Kieran Boudin, Casey Chevrant, Bella Fidel, and Joy DeGood. So that's really exciting to have all of us involved in it. But I keep looking through all of the art and as it continues to be added. And I will say one that really has stood out to me, I keep coming back to, is Sharon Reppel. I believe that's how you say her last name, the great white egret.
Yes, it's a gorgeous
And
one.
oh my gosh, I can't even completely pinpoint my emotional, I guess, reaction to it. Of course, I love the composition and the format and the bold color. Clearly, you can tell I love bold color. And just her handling of the paint in that, and the um, just her use of color and light, all of that. But then I went and read her story, and maybe this is one reason I'm so drawn to it, because I think it reflects in the art. She said, and I wrote it here, that it's helping her to focus on the beauty and intricacy of God's creation during this time. And of course, I completely relate to that and feel the same way. And maybe that's a lot of the sense of what I'm getting when I'm viewing that painting. But there's so many great artists on there, so many beautiful paintings. I also love Hilary Scott's Summer Haze. There's just so many great paintings on there. But.
Yeah, it is incredible. I've personally loved seeing the artwork, and then, you know, obviously having one feeling about it, but then the next step of actually reading the story and the word behind the piece, it just it definitely is hard hitting, and we're excited to turn it into a book soon, so that way it will document this experience in a really beautiful way, which would be nice.
Exciting. Now, how many other states are you looking for artists from right now?
So we have 6 states left, actually. We are trying to get an artist from every single state. And we just got an Alaskan artist, just got an artist from Montana. We're now just waiting on Alabama, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Wyoming.
Awesome. So who's
Yeah.
your Montana artist? Do you know right offhand?
Which one? Oh, I can tell you in 1 minute, and they just came through. If you know Montana artists, please reach out to them.
I do. I did send your information to one of them, so I was just curious. But
Awesome. Yeah. It is. It's about to come up.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, no worries. Francesca Droll.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep. So we're getting really close to having full representation of all the states. And like you said, your state, we've had a ton of great artists come out of it. So we're really thankful for everyone that has been joining in on the mission. But thank you so much for joining us today. First Instagram Live, you did a great job. I know it's always a little weird, but as we're in this year, we've come to discover a lot of new different ways to connect via technology. So it's a blessing.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's just really wonderful. I'm honored to be a part of the project and to be asked to join the live interview. So thank you very much.
Of course, of course. It's been awesome getting to know you and hearing your story. And the piece is still available, correct?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So if you guys are inspired, definitely check it out on the website. And thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you again. Have a great
All
day.
right. Have a good rest of your day. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.